Magandang araw mga ka-HR. Kamusta po kayo? Please allow me to use this time to share with you the framework behind our advocacy, human rights, and human resources. So, basically, I will be sharing or rather answering two questions. That is, what is HR and HR, and why is it important to us, to our profession, and to our engagement with top management. In its simplest form, our advocacy is about the implementation of the applicable human rights, open and close parentheses, the articles, to both business and people management and operations. So let me elaborate on that. First, let's look at the foundation. Ito yung tinutungtungan natin why we have this advocacy. Let's go to Article 29 of the 30 Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So, it is incumbent upon us as people managers, as the one on top managing the human resource, to ensure that respect for human dignity is upheld at all times. It is incorporated in the core values and practice in the day-to-day HR operations. Now, on the next few slides, I will be sharing with you the major classifications or categories of human rights, and I highlighted those that applies to our job. So the first group, let me emphasize items 3 and items 4. The first two, it's already self-explanatory because most of the recent laws that has been enacted the last few years were anchored on this. However, on item number 3, and just a reminder that whatever we do with our employees, good or bad, it will always affect item number 3. On item number 4, this applies specifically to employees' application for vacation leave and the submission of the notice of resignation. Unless they are under administrative investigation, refusal to approve or accept might be construed as involuntary servitude that is unconstitutional under our laws, under the Philippine laws. Okay. Item number 12, the mainstream media has been discussing this as well as the social media has been discussing about this, so no need to elaborate. Moving forward, we are doing our regular monthly town hall, or quarterly town hall, specifically because we wanted to hear employee suggestions. We wanted to understand where they are coming from. This is on top of our platform to convey to them its strategic directions. Now, little did we know that we are already upholding Article 19 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Now, the last group, the last category. Now, most of this we are already familiar with, okay? And most of the labor laws and relevant laws were anchored on these provisions. Let me just emphasize items 24 and 25. I discussed earlier about involuntary servitude. Now, this is the reason why. Because employee has the right to enjoy themselves, has the right to rest. And unless we have a valid ground for that, then that violates the right against slavery. On item 25, basically this includes mental wellness and the different engagements that we have with employee to ensure that our place of work will be a happy place, a safe place, and the compensation that they are receiving is not, I would say, it's comfortable enough to have this adequate standard of living. Okay, 26 is our learning initiatives to retool and retrain them to keep them productive or to prepare them for future responsibilities. All right. I understand most of you are have some reservation rather when we talk about human rights. Well, understood because on the political component we can hear the noise. There's a noise against the anti-terrorism bill allegedly because it violates the right of free speech. All right, and likewise for quite some time EJK is in the news because according to the advocates they are violating the victim's right to life. Okay, but HR in HR, it's more of a business decision than a political one. So let me give you four reasons why. The first one, if an organization is compliant to the minimum requirements of the law, then they will have less trouble with our regulatory bodies. That is HR and HR. Allow me to elaborate on that in a little while. The second reason is we wanted to retain the good employees and attract the aspiring and the new ones. Okay, so last year, Job Street conducted a study and they are able to figure out why employees chose to stay or choose to leave. Now, interestingly, the top three reason why employees were dissatisfied and eventually leave, it's because of the culture. A toxic culture, a culture that disrespects human dignity, or a culture that is not compliant to the minimum requirements of the law. Because the basic CSR, my friends, is item number one. Before we go to tree planting, saving Manila Bay, and so forth, this is our first and foremost obligation to our society. All right, so let's go to the third reason. This is more of employer branding. So this is also connected with the first two. If there is a positive perception towards our organization and brand, then chances are that is additional revenue. The negative ones, it will also affect our bottom line. Now, I am not validating this claim, okay? I'm simply sharing with you an illustration when there is a negative perception. There might be a negative campaign that will follow. The final reason, and this involves this much amount of money. Last year, I attended a session about business and human rights, and it was disclosed by the speaker that there are a group of business people who have this amount of money and are willing to invest to organizations who are compliant to business in human rights. All right, so I have answered the two questions, the what behind HR and HR and why we need to incorporate this. If we present the reasons to our top management, then there should be less resistance because it will benefit the organization and the bottom line at the end of the day. Now let's look at a few examples. The first one, I am encouraging you people to go to this URL because it exemplifies how respect for human dignity is done, thanks to the CEO of Grab Singapore. Secondly, let's look at our day-to-day HR operation. This involves money. My friends, I hope we will not play God because when we are too passive with regards to the timing of the release and to the right amount of a computation, we are being rude. We are being disrespectful to a person's right to life, to a person's human dignity, to a person's adequate standard of living. Please, kung tayo ayaw natin gawin sa atin ito, let us not be a tool to take advantage of another person. Not too long ago, when I was still managing a department, pagdating sa payroll, I always encourage my staff to be on top of their game to make sure there are less or zero. If they cannot ensure zero errors, at least minimize payroll or computation errors. Because pag nagkamali sila, instead of waiting for the cut off or rather the adjustment, and I would rather deduct it from their own pocket. Maraming umiyak na staff ko niyan because natawag ko yung employee na nabawasan ng sweldo at saka yung staff ko, tatlo kami mag-uusap and we will apologize to the concerned employee. After apologizing, we will give the employee the amount, yung kulang, and then we seek the commitment of the employee to return to us the same money after they receive the adjustment. Okay? Maraming empleyado ko or rather staff ko ang umiiyak during that time. But do not fret because half of the abono is also coming from my pocket. Now, why am I doing this? Unless yung error natin, ma-realize natin na malapit sa bituka, we will not learn the lesson. So, when my own staff have realized this, mas naging diligent sila in ensuring every payout tama ang computation. Okay? Most of my staff right now, it's either they are heads of the division or they are entrepreneurs themselves. I will be sharing with you more examples and application of HR and HR on the next few weeks as we roll out several programs. But for the meantime, I'm just taking this time to lay down the foundation and to make sure that we understood each other and that we are on the same page. If you have some clarifications and questions, do not hesitate to shoot me an email or send me a private message.